Okay, so just having a look at some footage from Wednesday, the 2nd of December. We've got INEOS Team UK and Emirates Team New Zealand sailing along, and start with the Brits, Britannia 2 sailing. Looks to be an upwind angle. You can see how hard the grinders are working there, and you've got Ben Ainsley having a look at his steering wheel with some buttons and his afterguard behind him. Sure, there's a lot going on there. Great shot from behind. You can see the skeg running underneath the boat, and again from the front here, you can see how aggressive that sort of centerboard type shape is, which is obviously there to try and help them when they're in the water, but also trying to end plate the bottom of that hull with the water. And again, you can sort of see from the side here, they're sailing quite bow down. So the gap between the water and the hull is very small. And effectively what they're trying to do is the same as you would when you lower a car to try and optimize your top end speed. You're reducing the gap between the two surfaces to minimize the amount of drag. We sort of see them going back to these anhedral style main foils, the foils with a bit more angle on them rather than the foils we've seen them with the kinks in them. And there's about 11 to 13 knots of breeze here, and you can see they're getting along, no worries, foiling, and look to be sailing quite reasonably quick. And then we go across to Emirates Team New Zealand, and quite different breeze. You can see here it's probably more around the 7 to 9 knot range, and they've got the code 0 out. That's the first thing you notice. Interesting thing for me though is it looks like here they might be out of range of the code 0, so you can kind of see on the water it looks like there's probably more around the 9-10 knot mark, and they're sailing around with this code 0, which I think if they were to set the boat up for flat out from the start, I think they'd be sailing their jib. But I think what they might be trying to do here is sail around out of range with the code 0 in case they get caught out in a race and learn how to maneuver with it. It's obviously a lot harder to do these maneuvers when the breeze is up and you've got all that extra sail area because it's more drag, so it's reducing your top end speed quite significantly, and that makes your maneuvers very difficult. You can sort of see here they go into a jibe, and it looks like there's plenty of breeze, but it just takes forever for that code 0 to flop through and fill on the other side, and they do manage to somewhat do a foiling jibe, but then the boat comes out of the sky and touches back down in the water. And again, that sail area out the front minimises the amount that you can manoeuvre the boat in terms of your build angles and whatnot. It's just a lot of drag. So a good shot here of them sailing in what looks to be similar conditions, but under the jib in this time. So no code 0 at the front. We get a nice sort of side profile shot of them here, Pete Burling and the guys, and you can sort of see all these telltales on the sail and on the inside of the hull and on the camera post at the back there. That just goes to show how much these guys are looking at the aerodynamics of the whole platform and trying to make sure that they know exactly what the breeze is doing when it passes across those surfaces, and try and make everything as aerodynamically as efficient as possible. Another interesting point here is this sort of big hump on the back of the main foil there. You can see the square section that comes off the trailing edge of that main foil, and we've seen a couple of other teams have something similar in their Boat 1 editions. I think American Magic had that at some point on their first boat, and the Kiwis have definitely been persevering with that recently, and I'm not entirely sure of the reason behind it, other than maybe just trying to clean up some of the wash as that water sort of exits off the trailing edge of those main foils. Maybe if you can get a cleaner exit there, it might be slightly better efficiency from a drag standpoint. And then you've got them sailing along here, low riding, obviously. It's hard to tell if they're fully going or not, trying to get up on the foils, but certainly you can see how much drag there is off these foil arms when the boat's actually in the water. And an interesting thing here is if you look to the back end of the boat, we might have said in shot here, as the boat picks up speed, the aft end's actually lifting up out of the water. So as that rudder starts to lift up out of the water, the boat takes off, it reduces its drag, and it goes from the back end first. So again, looking at it from the side here, really nice pitch. And yeah, two very, very different boats, differently set up on a day where there was obviously different conditions on different race courses. But yeah, I mean, there's some interesting key points there that are different between the two boats. And again, there's plenty of time between now and the Christmas Cup and the rest of the regatta. So it'll be interesting to see what steps each team takes and what direction they head down in the development process and how they end up in a few weeks' time. Cheers.